Hello, and welcome to day 2 of the mini training series. So, today we are going to be talking about healthy boundaries. I know that for some people it is more challenging for you to set healthy boundaries, but I want you to know that unhealthy boundaries end up causing more emotional pain, and then these can lead to dependency or depression, anxiety, and even stress induced physical illness. So, a lack, a lack, a lack of boundaries can be seen as leaving the front door to your home unlocked, right? So, anyone can be can come inside, any unwelcome guest all the time, or anybody can just come in. And why it's so important for us to lock that front door and to set those healthy boundaries is because we don't want anybody and everybody and anybody coming in at any given moment, because we need to be able to stand firm in the things that we believe and the things that we need to do with our time, because we only get 24 hours in a day. So if we're continuously giving our energy away to everybody else and we're not standing firm in our boundaries and the things that we need to fill up our cup, then we run low. And then we start giving from a place of lack rather than a place where we are overflowing and just naturally giving ourselves to other people. So it's important for us to realize, like, people are guidelines for us, and they are rules or limits that a person creates to identify themselves with. And these can be like safe rules or, things that make us feel comfortable. So for instance, like, say you are now trying to find food freedom, right? And your friends are always constantly being like, oh, like, you want to go out to eat, you want to go out to lunch, you want to go get a drink, you want to do this, you want to do that. But right now in this moment, that doesn't align with the goals that you are trying to go after. And it's hard sometimes to set these healthy boundaries with your friends and be like, how about we go for a walk or go do something that maybe doesn't involve food or alcohol, right? Because we get scared that if we do stand up for ourselves in that moment, then maybe our friends aren't going to ask us to do anything anymore, or maybe we might even lose that friend. And that can be scary. We try to have these boundaries in order to basically put up like a no trespassing sign between ourselves and other people. And like I said, it's so important because we are constantly in this world and society. We have our social media, we have maybe you have a child, or all your friends and your coworkers and these events and those events, and we find it difficult to set these boundaries because we want to be doing all of the things all of the time, when in reality, like, we can't. Doing all of the things all of the time is only going to make you be more sustainable to being burnt out. And so when we become aware of like ourselves and our senses, just like in the last module that we did the training, you start to realize like what is actually serving you and what you're just saying yes to because you don't want to not be invited again, or because that's just what you're so used to doing. So a lot of people have trouble saying no, right? Like, we don't know how to say no to people because, like I said, fear of missing out, or fear of judgment from them, or we don't want them to not ask us to do something again. But in reality, we need to stop apologizing for the boundaries that we set and realize that we have to listen to like what is going on inside of us. So most of our lives, and I'm going to take a sip of water here real quick. Most of our lives, we have been brought up to people please. We try to do all of the things all of the time, like I said, because we want to gain significance from those around us. Like, oh, look at me, like, atta girl, she's going to school, she's working full time, and she's doing all of these extracurricular activities, she's doing this, she's doing that. And inside you're like, why aren't I actually just taking time for me? Why aren't I setting boundaries for myself in order to fill my own cup up? Because what's most important is your cup, right? Like if we are constantly giving our energy and giving our energy and giving our energy to everybody around us, you just, like I said, start to give that energy, but it's not really your energy. It's like a skeleton of who you are because you're not filling yourself up and reserving some of those boundaries for yourself. So I want you to think about like the one friend in your life who is constantly saying yes to all of the things. But then say like the time comes that you guys are supposed to go for a walk or go rock climbing or go do any of the things that you like to do with your friend. And that day comes and they're like, oh, like, I can't make it today. Like, do you think we can reschedule? And you're like, yeah, sure. Like, I guess, because like you made that commitment in your firm, healthy boundary, but they made that commitment in more of like no boundaries at all. So they are constantly saying yes to every single thing that is being thrown their way rather than maybe looking at their calendar and being like, well, you know, I made a commitment this day and this day to do something with these friends, and like I have to work these days, and like I really want to work out as well. Like we as humans and adults, we have things on our plates that like we need to get done. Like, oh, I need to clean the house this day, whatever it is, right? So you have this friend that every time they make a plan with you, the day comes. And maybe you are this friend, and nothing is wrong with that because we're going to teach you how to maybe like, well, not maybe, like we're going to teach you how to set these healthy boundaries for yourself so you're not constantly saying yes to things. And then the day comes and you're like, God damn it, like I don't even want to do that. Like it's not something that lights you the F up inside. And so you're like, okay, can we cancel? Can we reschedule? And meanwhile, like you're just going to go eat like, I wanted to say Chick-fil-A, but like a pizza or something on the couch, and you're just like, oh, like this is so much more relaxing because you're so used to saying yes, 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 but then you cancel last minute. So I want you to think about like which friend or which person would you rather have in your life, and which person would you rather be? The person who is constantly saying yes, yes, yes to all of the things and then canceling on you because they realize like, oh, I put too much on my plate, AKA I don't set firm boundaries for myself? Or would you rather this person who is like, oh, like I work a lot this week, maybe we can schedule to see each other sometime next week, and they set their boundary and they, you know, really realize like, okay, I can't give all of my energy to you this week because I have so much to do for myself. And but next week, you know, I have this free day and I know that this day like I'm gonna commit to getting my work done earlier in the day and then be able to like have some free time to fill up not only my cup during the day but also give out some of my energy to my friends, right? So and then that day comes and then you're like, yes, like this is the day, like they're gonna, you know, like that person is gonna like show up for that commitment that they made because they have healthy boundaries. They don't have a problem saying like, no, that's not gonna work for me. Like that won't work for me this day, but it will work for me this next day or next week or whenever it works for you. So like I said, think about the person who is constantly saying yes, yes, yes to all of the things and then letting you down later on because they don't have these healthy boundaries, or the person in the moment who says, no, I can't do that this week, and has their healthy boundary, and then they, you know, commit to a later date because that's what fits for them. Would you rather this person be constantly canceling on you, or the person who has no problem being like, this doesn't serve me in this moment, but I do want to see you, and then they make the time to see you when they can? And, you know, it can be challenging because, like I said, we have this notion that we have to be doing all of the things all the time in order for people to like us. But in reality, it's just like us having a hard time saying no to things that don't light us the fuck up. You know, like if it's not lighting you the fuck up, then why are you even wasting your time doing it? Why set another thing on your to-do list that you don't really want to do, just because you don't want the person on the other side to feel like you don't care about them or that they're not valuable of your time or any of those things. Like, the people who are meant to be in your life, they're going to respect your boundaries, and they're going to understand that this is how this person rolls. And nothing is wrong with that, right? So it's important for us to set these boundaries in order for us to basically practice our self-care and self-respect. So in finding food freedom, self-care and self-respect is what it boils down to, along with the compassion and the grace that we need to have for ourselves. And by setting our healthy boundaries is, the second way to start to find this food freedom. Because if we're constantly saying yes to all of the things that don't serve us, how can you really find that food freedom within yourself and be able to have that grace and compassion for where you're at if you are always just giving your energy to all of the people all the time? So I want you to just think about, are you scared to say no because, like I said, someone's not going to ask you to do these things again, or because you were constantly taught that you have to be giving and doing in order to be significant? Or are you selfish if you're not doing all of the things for everybody else because you were taught that doing self-care and taking care of yourself and really taking the time for you that day, that's selfish? And it's not. I'm here to tell you, it's really not, because you spend the most time with yourself. And if you're not filling up your cup and setting these firm, healthy boundaries for the things that you want, then nobody else around you is going to be able to know what they can do or what they can't do inside of your space, right? We have this little bubble around us. And yes, of course, we want people to come in and embrace us and give us hugs and all of that. But at the same time, we need them to respect the things that we won't tolerate and the things that are going to prevent us from moving forward. And a lot of times, it does seem selfish setting healthy boundaries, but it's not. Because if you're not setting these healthy boundaries, people will literally take and take and take and take and take and take, because it's easier to have unhealthy boundaries than it is to have firm, healthy boundaries for yourself. So like I said, we have guilt, we have fear of rejection, we have fear of confrontation. We're not taught what healthy boundaries are, but healthy boundaries allow you to have, like I said, the high self-esteem for yourself and the high self-respect. It allows you to share information gradually rather than divulging everything about yourself in one setting, and learning to have a mutual trusting relationship with another human. We can also have equal partnerships with other people, and not, like I said, if you're divulging every single thing at one time, it's how do you know that this boundary isn't going to be crossed? Just because you trust that person not to say anything doesn't mean that person isn't going to say anything, or vice versa, right? So you can start maybe feeling responsible for somebody else's happiness. And when you start to feel responsible for somebody else's happiness, think about the boundaries that you are lacking in that sense, right? Are you setting a boundary no, I'm only responsible for the happiness that I contribute to myself, and whatever overflows from me is what is going to help you maybe feel happier, but the only person who can actually make you happy inside is yourself. So at first, you're probably going to feel guilty and ashamed and embarrassed for really setting these boundaries, but do it anyway. Remind yourself that you have the right to self-care, and that setting these healthy boundaries, it's going to take practice and determination. So one of the exercises that I want you to do is I want you to write down places in your life or people in your life that you feel that you need to have healthier boundaries with. And it could be your family, your friends, your coworkers, and it could be your spouse, right? who is it in your life that you feel like you're constantly giving to, and you're not like setting that boundary and just saying like, no, today I need to really have a Stephanie day. Today I really need to focus on my energy, and I can't give you the time that you need today, but maybe next week I can. And by setting these healthy boundaries for yourself, people are going to respect you more, right? And you're going to eliminate toxic people from your life. And that's what the whole point of this is, you know? I mean, yes, it's all about like finding food freedom, but you can't find food freedom if you don't start to find the freedom within yourself to set these healthy boundaries for yourself and really start to understand that we are coming to make ourselves a better person. We aren't here to make anybody else happy or to make anybody else feel any of the feels. It's all about the way we're feeling about where we are in our lives in this moment right here. So I'm gonna again put another few journal prompts in the PDF file for you in the little workbook. And if you have any questions about any of these healthy boundaries, or if you need help maybe with how to set healthy boundaries for people in your life, please reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to help you set some of these healthy boundaries with your relationships and the people that you're surrounded by. So thank you, and I will see you in the next call.